yan. First off, gusto ko i-dedicate ko tong impromptu klase na to para sa actual students ko na tinuturuan ko. So, ayan. So, I will try to teach you all existentialism or the basic idea of existentialism within the 5 to 10 minutes kung kaya ko talaga. So, with that said, I will start my timer ako, so I'll start it now. So, let's talk about existentialism. So, existentialism is basically, as it says, finding meaning in the midst of meaninglessness. So, tatanungin ko lang muna sa inyo. I have a question for all of you. What gives your life meaning? Type it on the chat. I want to know. What gives your life meaning? Kahit it can be
VTuber!
anything. Anime, VTubers, anything of the sorts. What gives your life meaning?
Pera!
Okay, money. That's a good meaning. Art, gacha waifus, anything can be a practical meaning. So sometimes it can be God, sometimes it can be relationships, money, parents, whatever the case. We all have some purpose in life. We have that idea of finding purpose in life, whether we find it on our own or whether it is given to us. So we all, as I said, we all have a sense of meaning. It is basically human nature to crave meaning. We all want it at any given point in time. We crave it. We strive for it. We yearn for it talaga. We we ask people to give us our own meaning. Sometimes we ask our parents to give us the meaning. We ask our parents to give us meaning. Sometimes we ask our church, our government, our religion, whatever the case. They all We want meaning that we can ask them to give us meaning. So whether it is finding it in advocacy of social justice, religion, money, fame, those are valid. Whether it is a good or bad way of finding meaning, those are all valid and they can give your life meaning. But when in the view of an existentialist, those things can give none of them as well. Those things can't give meaning as well. So at this point in time, whatever age group you are, we should really start asking ourselves how we understand our lives and how it our lives are meaningful, di ba? Because throughout our lives, whatever age range we are, even up to our deathbeds, we will be asking this question in our lives. You will be asking whether life in and of itself was meaningful when you are dying, or whether in your 20s you will be asking, am I living my life to the fullest? Am I living my life with meaning? Di ba? So that is those things can so let's start, di ba? I want to talk about essentialism first with its mantra and its idea of essence precedes existence. So, what do I mean by that? So, the ancient Greeks, they believed that everything and everyone had a specific essence, basically a core property that makes that thing what it is, right? So, think of a pen, right? A pen can have different cases or colors of ink, but the essence of the pen will come from its own tip and the ink itself. Because without it, the pen wouldn't really be a pen, right? Without the tip, without the ink, it won't be a pen. You can certainly live without the case of the pen, but you can't live without the ink and the tip of the pen. Or how about a knife? A knife can have different handles, a metal one, a wood one, a plastic one, but it will still be a knife. But without the blade itself, then it wouldn't really be a knife, would it? But, those are in the context of objects. So what about humans? Diba? The Greek thinkers also believed that humans have essences even before we were born. Basically, to the Greeks, you already have a specific purpose in life before you were even born. So, to be a good person, meaning is to say that you are following that essence, you are following that specific purpose that was given to you way before you were born. You will know, either you know it or you don't. You could be good at it or you don't. Whatever the case, as long as you are trying to find your essence, as long as you are trying, emphasis on the word trying, then you, according to the Greeks, are being a good person because you are trying to live on society based on finding your essence. So this was the standard view. Essentialism was the standard view of the universe because of religion, especially Christianity or Judaism or Islam. But by the late 19th and 20th century, that all changed. So I would like to disclaimer and say that I will show some somewhat uh not somewhat different picks. The reason why essentialism fell from standard was because of obviously World War II. World War II and a lot of things caused essentialism to fall out of its grace. So the horrible atrocities of not of the Nazis, of the Japanese, of or even the United Kingdom or the United States, they are the ones that caused essentialism to fall down. So with that, let's actually decide to talk about what this meaning is, what existentialism is. So we have a somewhat clear understanding of the view of the time. It was World War II. It was hard. The Holocaust happened. It obviously it's going to be hard to find meaning. So Sartre wanted to return to the question of what of essence precedes existence and ask what if we exist first, diba? What if we were born without any written purpose and that it is up to us to write that purpose? Basically, what Sartre was trying to say, I was born first, so therefore I can make my own meaning. That was the start of the mantra of existence precedes essence. We were born into the world without any given meaning. We are born into this world. When we came out of the wombs, out of our mothers, we were there. We were just simply there. There is no meaning given to us by our parents at that time, no meaning given to us by our country, our religion. We were just there. So then it is up to us to determine who we are. We have to write our own lives. We have to write our own essence through how we live life. And we have no predetermined purpose. We have no path to follow. Because, and I want to tell you that during that time, this was such a radical idea because God did the path for you. God did it. God did the path. God made the path for you. Not yourself, but was God. It was simply God. So existentialism is not synonymous with atheism. There are atheists who are existentialists and there are theists who are existentialists. So, Pransen, I want to know what is your question?
um, is wisdom or intelligence more useful?
So when it comes to wisdom, basically it's that practicality, practical knowledge. So yes, intelligence is important, but wisdom is as important. Both are equally important as it is. That is what I would answer to that. So let's go back.
Thank you,
So the
Seth.
theist the theist perspective of existentialism denies teleology or basically any purpose that God has set in store. So basically, if you believe in God and are an existentialist, then you would deny that God made the universe or the world or even us with a particular purpose in mind. Basically, you would believe na God created humanity, the universe just for fun. He didn't do it because he cared about you. He didn't do it because he had a set plan. He just did it because it was just his own fun. He just wanted to spare some time and just created the whole universe. That is what it means when you want to be a theist as well as an existentialist. So God may exist by so God could exist, but giving your life, the universe, the cosmos, its meaning, well, that's not in his job description. That's not what he does. Because we are thrown into the world in which the world, and our actions lack any real importance. I want you to get that drilled into your head. The world, you, and the actions that you do lack any real importance to the universe around you. So we have another fundamental concept, and it is referred to as the absurd. What do we mean by the absurd? The absurd, we may think of it as something silly, as something baffling, but in reality, it's how we humans, we continue to search for answers in an answerless world. Think about it. You continue to search for answers in an answerless world. You continue to ask, what is the meaning of life? How do I find it? But there is no answer. There is no reason to exist. Nature has no specific design. Look at the world around us. Do you think that with the current world right now, do you think it has a specific design? Certainly, with what we are being shown today, There is none. There is no design. So therefore, what should we do is what we need to come to terms with that. We need to come into terms that the universe, the world around us doesn't have any meaning. And that we need to come to terms with that. Understanding the universe and how understanding everything beyond us, it's impossible to achieve. There could be meaning, but it is impossible to achieve because the world has no meaning other than the ones we give it. That is what it means to be an existentialist. We are creatures who need meaning, yet we are abandoned in the universe that is only filled with meaninglessness and emptiness and hopelessness. So, what do? You cry. We cry into the wilderness. We get no response, yet we keep on crying anyway. That is the definition of absurd. When you cry into the wilderness expecting a response, yet you get none, and yet you cry anyway, thinking that there may be a chance, the 0.1% chance that there could be a response, even when in reality there is none. There is no God, no teleology to back us up, no meaning. So then the world wasn't created for a reason, and it doesn't exist for a reason. The world could not exist and it would still be fine. If there is no reason for any of this, then there will be no absolutes. There was no cosmic justice. There is no fairness. There is no order. There is no rules. Because when Nazis became a thing, then meaning became much harder to find. But that's not even the worst of it. Because in reality, the most agonizing aspect isn't because the world lacks any meaning, but it's because of us. Because we have a terrifying abundance of freedom. Freedom may sound great, freedom may sound liberating, but in reality, it is a painfully and shocking experience. Because there is no guideline for our actions. Because there is no forced design. There is no moral code, no morality to live by. Think about it. Think about your think about your actions for a moment. Because when Sartre said that you're condemned to be free, it is a fate that is so awful. Because all your actions, when you look all the way back into your life and you accumulate all those actions, you are responsible. You are directly responsible to what happens to you, to the people around you, and even to the community around you. You are responsible for the consequences of it, and you have to live with it. We have no moral code to live by, then you have to make the decision and face the consequences no matter what. These moments where we are responsible, these moments where we fight it, that is going against the very nature that we are at. Those things make us irrational. So you may think that there is some authority you could look to. Maybe you could look at religion or spirituality or the government or your teachers or your parents. You could look to them for answers, but they are just simply fake. You can do what they say, but they are simply people like you. They don't have the answers. They have to figure themselves out to live. Yes, tatapusin ko to. I will rush this. So the best thing you can do is to live authentically. Don't worry, the rest of majority of the slides are just pictures anyway. Because Sartre used this, living authentically. Because the people around us, the government, the church, the people around you, they're just making up the meaning as they go. And that's true enough, right? Look at how the government is responding. Do you think they're having a set plan? No, they are just making it up as they go. That is the nature of all humans. We are just making it up as we go. So what we should do, the best thing that we can do, is to live authentically. They use this to mean that you have to accept the full weight of your freedom. You have to accept you that any meaning that you give life, it is made by you, and it is your decision. You don't decide to follow someone else's path. If you do decide to follow someone else's path, then you are living in bad faith. You refuse to accept the absurd. You are just burying your head in the sand or covering up your ears while singing and pretending that something out there has meaning, a meaning that you didn't give it. That is what it means when you are in bad faith. living up to a meaning that you didn't give yourself. So existentialism paints a pretty bleak picture of the world. In reality, it does. And novelist Albert Camus said the literal meaning of life is whatever you're doing that prevents you from killing yourself. But, despite this, a lot of existentialists would remind you that the world and your life can have meaning, but only if you choose to assign it. If the world is devoid of any purpose, then you can choose to imbue it with whatever purpose you want. That is what it means to be existentialists, to give yourself meaning, to give the world meaning without having to rely on anybody else other than yourself. So, how about the modern day? Literally, the world around us is going into chaos. Wars are coming in. That is just an example of one of the wars that has been going on for decades. I think it was the Giza War. Then how can you forget about the Sandy Hook shootings where these innocent victims were actually shot dead? Or how about Typhoon Yolanda? That was the major catastrophe during the time. Or how about Ebola? We thought that Ebola was going to be the virus that kills us all. Turns out that's not it. How about the Orlando shootings at the US, where people, because of their sexuality, were being killed? Or how about the Manchester shooting? The one with the Ariana Grande concert? Those people died. Or how about ISIS? Or how about the Christchurch shootings? Or how about right now, the Hong Kong protests that had been going on for a long time now? Or how about when Donald Trump was impeached? Or how about COVID? Or how about the brutal killings of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd that sparked the Black Lives Matter movement? Or right now, how about the Myanmar protests where now they are literally using missiles to stop protesters? Or how about the Uyghur genocide where people based on their religious beliefs were being killed by the Chinese government? Or how about today, that terror bill? That thing is still going on. It goes to show how the world is literally messed up. It's been chaotic ever since. We live in a world that's ever more messed up. We progress in technology, in innovation, in medicine, in anything else, yet somehow we haven't progressed. We evolve, yet we take two steps back just to be sure. Looking at all the events, and those were just some. There have been many more events just like those during this century. It can be disheartening. And it seems like we were back to where we started, back to being like civilized brutes. That is what we are, civilized brutes this day and age. We may say that we're the most advanced species, but in reality, we are just like animals. During the pandemic, a lot of people actually lost their meaning. A lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of people lost the chance to be with their friends, a lot of people lost everything. And it goes to show that the meaning that we can give ourselves as well can be destroyed. It is fragile. Pre-held beliefs can be shattered. So a lot of people went to existentialism, to stoicism, to philosophy, any kind, just to find some stability and meaning in their lives. And so, I earnestly wish that I can offer you a word of hope. I wish I can do that. I really wish I can give you a word of hope. Like say, oh, but in the end we can survive this. In the end we can do all things. I wish I can do that. But in reality, that is up for you to decide whether you want to give the world any hope at all. You have to see through the shittiness and the fucked up nature of the world and try to find hope and meaning in the midst of meaninglessness. You have to do that on your own because I can't give it to you. The government can't give it to you. Your religion can't give it to you. Your parents can't give it to you. Your friends can't give it to you. Only you can give it to yourself, whether to find hope and meaningfulness in the midst of meaninglessness. And that is existentialism. Thank you and good night.
Wow.
Everyone, please proceed to the outside of the symposium area. Azure
Pachi,
will be
pachi, pachi,
signing
pachi,
up
pachi,
for his.
pachi, pachi, pachi.
Azure will be signing all of the books that will be bought. His book is entitled Existentialism.
Paano naman pa-autograph? Pa-autograph.
Pa-autograph naman, pre. Ang lakas,
Sana all. Ang
grabe.
solid.
Sobrang prepared, bro.
Sir, saan
Oo
pa
nga eh.
isa-send yung recorded video?
Yan yung ano, yan yung
Sa
pinreset
ano?
mo sa mga estudyante mo.
Technically, mas mahaba pa yung binigay ko sa mga estudyante ko. 100 plus slides binigay ko sa kanila. So,
Ay,
kinondense
wow.
ko talaga.
Bro.
Damn.
Solid.
Dude, that
Nung
was
sa
a nice
klase ko,
presentation.
nung sa klase ko,